Hey everyone, Joe here with the Idaho Prepper channel, and in today's video, I would like to share with you guys some of the cost-effective ways that my family and I are preparing for this coming struggle and how you guys can become better prepared and even survive and sustain in this rapidly declining economy. So stay tuned, this should be a good one. So, like most of you, I'm sure you've noticed, especially in the last decade or so, that this economy that we've been in has been volatile to say the least. And especially in the last 5 years or so, it has just been in rapid decline. I'm not going to go into why I think it's in decline. I'm sure you guys all have your own theories and reasonings, and I'm sure that my theories and reasonings are pretty much in line with yours. But that's not what this video is going to be about. What this video is going to be about is essentially how to kind of get ahead of that and make ends meet. So I think what happens a lot of times within like the prepper communities and the prepper mindset is we get kind of locked on this idea that the economy or what we're preparing for is something that's going to be cataclysmic, it's going to be sudden, it's going to be sensational. And I think a lot of that just comes from really watching too many Hollywood movies. And in my opinion, I used to be kind of that thinking, but from what I've seen in the last decade or so, the pattern, in my opinion, is just kind of a slow decline. And so I really am just preparing for that, not so much like a sensational event, although that it is possible that that could happen and we probably will see, some big dips here and there. But as far as, just waking up one day and the stock market's gone to zero and the dollar's worthless, I'm not really quite sure that that's what's going to happen. But what I am pretty certain of is that the financial problems that we are facing are pretty much baked in. There are types of problems that are definitely not going to be fixed overnight, and they're probably not even going to be fixed, within the next generation or so. We really are kind of facing some long-term generational financial issues. So don't want to black pill you guys or depress you too much on this subject. And so that is pretty much why I put together this video today. But I will kind of explain to you what inspired me to do this video and what's inspired me. It's just probably like most of you, and I think a lot of people are having this wake up call in a similar fashion in that they go to the grocery store. The grocery store is one of those places, where we go every single week. Most families, you're going there, at least once a week, and each week is just getting worse. And it seems like each trip we go, my wife and I, if we go to the grocery store, we come back and we're just looking at this receipt thinking like, gosh, we just spent $140. You got like 2 bags of groceries. It just seems to be getting worse. And so last week was no different. And so my wife and I sat down and I was like, I want to put a list together and I want to really focus on, really the main things that we're spending most of our money on in terms of like food and cleaning products and electricity. And so we sat down, kind of figured out some of the ways that we can do a lot of those things ourselves and save money, or things that we can just do away with completely. So we sat down, we put together a list, and I pretty much just want to share with you guys that list. So this isn't anything that's like really radical. I mean, obviously, the more radical you want to get with like doing stuff yourself, making your own products, turning lights off, things like that, just energy saving type stuff. Hey, like all the power to you. But this is just kind of for now a pretty reasonable list of areas that you can really focus on and do it yourself and just get your monthly budget down really low. So it's really not in any particular order. So I think I will just start with the first thing that we came up with, which is energy savings and like the different ways that you can cut costs with energy. And really the first thing that came to mind is actually, it was like about a week ago, my wife was kind of talking about putting our clothes on a clothesline instead of a dryer. For one, our dryer is just not very efficient, and we go through a lot of clothes because basically 5 people, we got a big family, so we're just washing clothes all the time, and just running a washer and a dryer all day, it just really adds up. But it's hard to kind of keep up with it. And so my wife was saying, because our dryer wasn't really very efficient. It's not drying the clothes quickly enough. She was talking about getting a clothesline, and I thought, well, not only is that a good idea, but it's going to save a lot of money because you're just not running a dryer all day. Because dryers, especially if you have an electric dryer like we have, it can be really expensive. So that was one of the first things we actually went and did is we got a clothesline, and we just started hanging our clothes on the clothesline, not so much from like a money savings position, but mostly just for like, we need to get these clothes dry. And that was just another option as opposed to getting another dryer. So, but it definitely got me thinking, because I was like, this is really lowering the energy bill. So very good way to cut costs. Get yourself a clothesline. I mean, it's summer, take advantage of the sun and get your clothes dry outside. It goes a lot quicker than you think. You're not spending any money running a dryer all day, and it's not heating your house up because you have a dryer running all day. Just having a dryer on all day will also heat your house up. So get a clothesline, start drying your clothes on a line. All right, so the second way you can cut costs is by heating your house with firewood. So obviously we're in summer, not thinking about heating my house right now, but I am procuring the firewood for the winter. So I would say definitely if you are in an area where you have the ability to heat your house with a wood stove, I'd say definitely go out, get yourself a chainsaw, a wood splitter, an axe, whatever, get some wood and start putting it aside and save a ton of money heating your house this winter. Now, as far as this time of year, because we're in the middle of summer and it is definitely hot here. We're like right now in North Idaho, we're hitting 100-degree temperatures. And so one way to kind of keep our house cool is we keep all of our blinds closed. So I would say close your blinds, make sure that the doors are closed, everything's nice and airtight in the house, and that way it's just going to keep your house from heating up and you're not running that AC all day. But if you want the option of cooling your house down in a really cost-effective way, you can get a solar AC unit, and you can actually cool your house down with solar, which is totally for free. It probably won't, like a unit like this isn't going to cool your entire house down, but you could definitely put this in one of your smaller bedroom in your house and run the pipes out the window, run this off solar, and you can cool that one room down. So, I'll make sure to leave links in the description for this unit here, but this is just a really good solar AC unit by EcoFlow. I did a video on it not too long ago, but this is a really good option for cooling at least a room down off in your house for free. And just to kind of expand on the solar alternative to energy, I would say, if you have the money, depending on your budget, my parents actually just got solar panels to run their whole house, and they're down in California where their electricity bill was like $700 a month, something just outrageous. And so they got solar panels all over their roof, and they're able to basically run their entire house, everything on just solar. And so they saved an insane amount of money. It was a lot of money up front, but in that state, I think there's like huge cost, like tax incentives and even programs where they'll actually front you the money to put the solar system up for you. So look into those programs if you have those available. I definitely take advantage of it because you just be saving a ton of money. And not only that, you're going to be sustained in the sense where if there is like a brownout or a power out of some sort, you're going to be taken care of because you have the solar panels. So I definitely explore the option of saving money with solar. And then the last thing is kind of an obvious thing. I'm sure this is something that you hear all the time, but it's something that we kind of need a reminder of. But that's just making sure that all of the lights and different appliances in your house are turned off. So make sure, especially before you leave your house, you're not even going to be in your house, turn off the lights. Or if you're not going to be in a room, turn off lights in those rooms. It's something I do have to do periodically, especially with kids. They're just going around the house. I mean, there'll be times I go around the house and literally every single light on the house is turned on, closet lights, everything. So it can get a little frustrating, but it's just something you stay on top of that stuff, and you can cut energy costs and save money. All right, so now when it comes to food, this is kind of a big area, and there's all different ways that you can save money on food. And I'm just going to go into some basic ones. Obviously, this is just an area that you can get super radical with and basically just become fully self-sustaining on your own procurement of food. But I'm going to just kind of stay focused on some of the basic ones, which is canning. So I would say, start a garden, learn how to can. If you don't have a lot of room for a garden, that's okay. I mean, get a small garden. Even if you have an herb garden, you can grow some herbs like basil and thyme and oregano, and then just get yourself like a dehydrator, and you can dehydrate those herbs, grind them up, and have your own seasoning. So I don't know if you guys know, but like a seasoning can be really expensive. Just a little jar of like rosemary can be like $5-6. So grow some rosemary for free and dehydrate it yourself, and you will have free spices. So you're going to be saving a lot of money just in spices, with a small herb garden. But with canning, it's definitely something you're going to want to practice now. Get familiar with it. Go buy some mason jars just so that way you have them. Get yourself a canner. I got a canner here. I got a pressure canner and pressure cooker here. And then over here, we have all of the canning tools and supplies. So I would say, get a book on canning, learn how to can. It's a great way to preserve your food and just have, a backup food storage. All right. And now this is a huge one. So I will say, and I probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, what you should really won't do, and I'll touch on this a little bit later in the video, but one of the first things you want to do if you want to explore what I'm talking about today is sit down with your spouse and put together a list and figure out, one, a budget, which I'll get into a little bit later. But when it comes to food, this is basically what we did. We kind of focused on the things that we were using the most of. So for instance, the dryer, which I already kind of talked about, we're running that dryer all day. There's clothes, we're just washing clothes. And I'm thinking we got to be able to save some money there. So in that area, we got the clothesline and started hanging our clothes out to dry, because that was a big area where there was a lot of money. The other area, it's like, look at your day-to-day diet. Like what are you and your family eating the most of, and determine like how much are you spending on this one thing, and would it be cost effective if you learn how to make it yourself and start making it yourself. And that item for us was bread. We're going through a lot of bread, and bread can be expensive. I mean, you're talking $5-6 for a loaf of bread, and if your family's eating 5 loaves of bread, we're eating, we got hamburger buns, hot dog buns, bagels, sourdough bread, sandwich bread. It just adds up. And then you notice a lot of time you don't get around to it, and half of it will, spoil and get moldy, and you end up throwing away. So the whole bread department can be just a huge waste of money. And so my wife started making bread, and it took her a long time. She was making sourdough bread, but it's been a few years now. She's been making a long time, and she's pretty much perfected sourdough bread, and she can make anything with it. English muffins, sourdough loaves, the sourdough rounds, sourdough sandwich bread, sourdough wheat bread. She can make bagels, pretzels, pretty much everything that you would need in that department. So just learning how to make the bread saved a crazy amount of money. And not only that, but it's way better for you. And that's another thing that I found when it comes to just doing this stuff yourself. Not only are you saving a ton of money and spending just a fraction of the cost, but like 99% of the things that you do yourself and you make yourself are also they're a lot better for you. So like the bread, it's a lot healthier for us because we make it ourselves. And a lot of the food that we make ourselves, it's just, we're growing it. We're not using the pesticides for our garden, and we're not, everything is just a lot healthier for you, and it's practically free. So just another reason why it's just a good idea to really look into food procurement, growing your own food, and preserving your own food. So if you're interested in making your own bread, it's really easy. I got a lot of really good videos on how to make sourdough or just basic bread, basic sandwich bread. But my wife has a YouTube channel, so I'll make sure to leave links in the description for those videos on how to make bread. All right, so the other area where you can save money with food, and this is kind of something that doesn't apply to everyone. If you're in a city, you might not be able to do it. Depends on your local regulations or not, so you probably want to look into it. But just raising your own food in terms of like chicken or quail or whatever, goats, things like that. Right now, my family and I, we're pretty much just have chickens, although probably going to be implementing quail. I kind of went back and forth on it, but now that I'm just seeing the cost of food, especially meat, go up, it's just getting ridiculous. I told my wife the other day, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much, I think I'm going to commit to quail this year. So at some point before fall, I'm going to get quail. I'm just not sure exactly where I'm going to put them, but to have that meat source is just going to become invaluable. So definitely, if you have the ability to have either chickens or any type of livestock on your property, I'd say definitely look into it because you're going to save a lot of money. And again, it's just healthier for you because you have total control. So for us, we free range our chickens. Our chickens are primarily just eating the vegetation that's around our property and like the insects and everything. And so our eggs are super healthy and a lot more nutritious than the eggs that you get at the store. Plus, they're free because the extra eggs that we don't eat, we sell, and the money that we get from those eggs pays for their supplemental feed. So it's a really good situation. And if you want a good video on if you're going to get into chickens and you're trying to get the numbers together and everything, I'll link a really good video on that. So, yeah, if you have that option to basically farm your own food, raise your own food, I'd say definitely take advantage of that. All right, so now going back to kind of sitting down and making that list with you and your spouse and figuring out, what are the different food items that you and your family are eating the most of. And then figuring out if it's something that you can make yourself. So the other thing that my family was consuming a lot of, especially our kids, is French fries. So I was thinking, we're going to the store, we're buying these frozen French fries for $5, $6. We can make them, and you can get a sack of potatoes for like $3 or something. I mean, they're really cheap here, and make your own potatoes. So one of the things I did is I bought one of those French fry presses. You put the potato in there and you press it, and it shoots French fries out. And again, not only is it cheaper, but it's way healthier. So the stuff they were putting in these French fries is just unnecessary ingredients. You think, what's in French fries? There shouldn't be anything in French fries other than potatoes and salt. But believe it or not, they put a lot of stuff in these French fries that you buy at the store. So it really doesn't make any sense to be buying those frozen French fries. Just get yourself a French fry press if you're eating a lot of French fries, and get your potatoes, squish them out into a bowl and put some salt on them and throw them in your air fryer or your oven or whatever. And not only do you have a cheaper French fry, but they taste a lot better. It's fun to make, and they're a hell of a lot healthier for you. So that was just another way that my family and I got together and saved a bunch of money and made a much healthier food option. And the last way I would suggest you could save a ton of money on food is by hunting it or catching it yourself. So, for those of you fishermen out there, especially those of you fishermen that are close to the coast, uh, go out there, get your salmon, pack your freezers full, or striped bass or whatever. And for those of you hunters out there, make sure to get yourself your deer tag or your elk tag this year and pack your freezers that way. And for those of you hunters or you novice hunters out there, or maybe you guys that got a hunting license when you're a kid and you just haven't utilized it in a while, you just got used to the store-bought meat. Hey, get motivated, get your hunting license reactivated, draw a deer tag this year, and get your freezer packed full of some good deer meat. Because I tell you what, that not only is it cheaper to hunt your own food, but it's just so much better for you. So, also, what you'll probably want to do if you want to start hunting your own food, get yourself a cookbook on how to prepare it, especially if you have people in your family who, just don't really like the flavor of wild game. Get yourself a good cookbook. This one here will tell you there's all sorts of recipes on how to extract that gamey taste and make your deer taste a lot better and a lot more palatable to those who don't like that flavor. So this is a good cookbook here. But either way, make sure get your freezers packed full of really good quality meat. Okay, so the next category is household cleaning products. So again, this is another one of those categories where we were spending a lot of money just like on laundry detergent, dishwasher detergent, cleaning sprays like 409 and Windex and things like that. And it's totally unnecessary because all of that stuff you can make yourself for like pennies on the dollar. And again, it's going to be a lot healthier for you and the environment as well. So I would say most of the surface cleaners are pretty much just comprised of some distilled water. That's pretty much always the the basis for every type of cleaning product is distilled water. So you can get a gallon of distilled water for like $1 or something. And then you just add a few drops of like Dawn dishwashing liquid, and that will pretty much clean most of your surfaces like as like a degreaser or something. So this Dawn dishwashing liquid I use all the time to make most of my spray cleaners. And then a lot of other spray cleaners you can just actually make with some distilled vinegar and some baking soda. Again, just put it in, mix it up with some distilled water, shake it up in a spray bottle, and you have a really good surface cleaner. All right, so the next area I'm going to get into is finance. So I'll preface this by saying I am not a financial expert. However, I have implemented some financial strategies that have saved me. I mean, for sure, if there are things that I have done for myself financially that had I not done them, there's no way I'd be making it right now financially. It's just no way. And one of those things is paying debt off and just not having debt. I'm a huge advocate for that. And I've actually mentioned it before in videos. I would say, in my opinion, the first area when it comes to putting together any type of preparedness plan is getting debt free first. If you can do it, I would say that should be your focal point. And the main point is getting debt free because that's going to be really the beginning of full, genuine self sustainment. If everything is just on credit and you just have a bank that owns all of your stuff, all of your preparedness, that's just not a sound situation. So I'm a big believer in not being in debt, not getting yourself into debt, and paying off all of your debt. So that's the first thing I would say to do. The next thing is if you're not making a lot of money, the economy, obviously for me, work is not coming in the way it used to come in. So I have to take up side hustles. There's a lot of different side hustles. I mean, for those of you like who don't know, the internet has just opened the doors on so many different ways to make money, especially on the side. So you can sell stuff, you can resell stuff. That's pretty much the most common way. You start going to garage sales, get deals on things, clean it up a little bit, take some pictures of it and put it on your eBay store or whatever and sell it online. It's just a great way to, basically put together some side money. So that way you can start, and I would say take that side money and maybe put together an emergency fund. Whether you want to have that emergency fund in a bank, it's totally up to you. Personally, I wouldn't. I feel like an emergency fund should be comprised of either cash or silver and put in a safe or inside of some tube that you can bury in your ground. But that's just my opinion. But I would definitely strongly suggest that you guys put together some type of emergency fund that consists of either cash or precious metals. So there are a lot of different ways of doing that. Maybe I can do a live stream if you guys are interested. Let me know in the comment section, and I can tell you all the different ways that I've tried to make money on the side that worked and didn't work. I have a lot of experience, mostly with stuff that didn't work. And I've, in the last few years, found a couple things that are working pretty well and definitely helping me supplement income, such as this YouTube channel. It's been great. But a lot of different side hustles that you can implement in your life, start saving some money, putting it aside when things get pretty bad. So I definitely say have some cash that's put aside that you have access to. All right, so the next area you're going to save a ton of money in, I would say like this is like the number one area where you're going to save money is learning skills and doing things yourself when it comes to like repairs. So I'll tell you right now, just this month alone, I probably saved at least $3,000-$4,000 doing things myself that I would have normally just subbed out or had a company come and do it. For instance, our hot water heater went out, the bottom kind of rusted out and it was leaking everywhere. And at first I was thinking, my immediate, because there was water pouring out, so I kind of panicked and I called a plumber and scheduled a time for them to come out. And then I went downstairs. I'm kind of looking at it thinking, oh, it's just a water heater. Like, that's all. And I watched a short YouTube video on how to replace it. I'm like, this is simple. Called the plumbing company back up, canceled, and I just went to Home Depot, got a hot water heater that was like pretty much similar to the one we had, and put it in there. It was really just screwed a couple things on, and that was it. It was just like three connections. The electrical connection was really simple, and the water connections were really simple. So I would say, that's kind of one of my big pieces of advice for those of you who might initially be intimidated by something. Watch a quick YouTube on it. I mean, you're going to know within 2 or 3 minutes of watching the YouTube if it's something that is feasible, something you can do it yourself or not. But I'd say 90% of the time when I watch a YouTube video on how to do something, I realize it's super easy and I just do it myself and save a ton of money. So definitely don't sub stuff out. Try to do it yourself first. If it's something that's too complicated, then have somebody do it, but always try to do it yourself first. And when it comes to do-it-yourself projects and making repairs on your vehicles and around your home, you're definitely going to want to have some basic tools. So I would say, especially when it comes to doing construction type projects around your home, obviously you're going to want to have yourself a good framing hammer, a speed square, carpenter square, some pencils. You're going to want a good tape measure, and you're definitely going to want to learn how to and know how to read a tape. And then you're going to want to have a good worm drive or electric saw of some sort to cut your lumber and everything. You're also going to need yourself a good 4-foot level. And then this is really beneficial. I probably use this more than anything. Get yourself a good drill set. So I have a screw gun and a drill in here, and then make sure you have plenty of bits for both of those guns. The next thing, especially when it comes to automotive, just get yourself a high quality toolbox and fill it full of the basic automotive tools such as sockets, wrenches, pliers, things like that. So I picked this box up here and it's full of pretty much all the tools that are within my venue of automotive repair. So having a good tool arsenal is definitely important when it comes to doing projects yourself. All right, and the last thing I would say when it comes to finances is, develop a healthy mindset when it comes to money. Learn how to, practice some impulse control. Try not to, just buy things because you want them. I mean, really sit down and think about each purchase and if it's something that you want or if it's something that you need. Also, I would say give up like unhealthy habits. So if you're drinking or smoking a lot, try to get rid of those habits. You're going to save a lot of money right there. I'll tell you right now, it's like when my wife and I go out to dinner, the fact that neither one of us drinks, we save so much money because we have friends that drink and we're always looking at their dinner bills and thinking, gosh, how did you spend $250 whatever on dinner? And it's like, oh, right, the wine. Yeah, the wine adds up. That's like double the cost of the dinner. But if you can get rid of those, those habits, you're going to save a lot of money. But the other way that's going to help you out is if you're getting rid of these unhealthy habits that you might have, you're going to be healthier, which means less trips to the doctor. So I would say get yourself healthy, get into shape. You don't have to become a bodybuilder. We're not trying to be professional athletes here. Just cutting a little bit of weight, building a little bit of muscle is really all you need to do. It doesn't have to be crazy. Just kind of maybe get rid of the Doritos and the Cheetos for lunch and drink some water instead of Coke every once in a while, and do some sit-ups and push-ups. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I would say try to get yourself healthy, and it's just less money you're going to be spending at the dentist, having to deal with cavities, and less problems that you're going to have with your overall health. So definitely try to get a little healthier. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much the end of my list there. I just realized there were a few things that I forgot to mention in this list. One was this little Chief smoker here. So these smokers are a great way to preserve your food, and especially when it comes to like the gamier food, that those of you who might not like the taste of wild game, you can just brine that meat, marinate it, and then smoke it. And not only does that preserve your food, but it makes it taste a lot better and it gets a lot of that gamey flavor. So get yourself one of these smokers. They're really cheap and it actually makes the food taste really good. I make almost all of my jerky, like my turkey jerky, in the smoker. And I also make a lot of our smoked salmon in this smoker as well. Also, with these two 55-gallon water drums here, this is just a great way to actually supplement your water intake. So if you guys have a garden and you don't want to be spending a lot of money, wasting water, you can get some of these 55-gallon drums and basically create like a basic water catchment system. If you have gutters on your house with a downspout, all you need to do is just, when it's raining, direct your downspout into some of these drums, and then you can basically either water your garden or you can drink the water or whatever. But just having some of these 55-gallon drums and filling them up full of rainwater when it's rain is just a really good way to supplement your water intake. The other thing that I forgot to mention, this is kind of a huge thing, was buying your food in bulk. You're going to save a ton of money buying your food in bulk and putting it in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. Especially if you guys plan on making your own bread, you're definitely going to be buying your flour in bulk because you're going to be using so much of it. So not only are you saving a ton of money just from not buying the little tiny packages every time you go to the store, but you're going to be getting ahead of inflation, because if you're buying this stuff in bulk, as time goes on, the stuff just keeps getting more and more expensive. So a lot of the food that my family and I are eating, like with the rice and flour, because I bought so much of it a long time ago, I bought it when the food was a lot cheaper. So buying the food while it's still cheap, because it's just going to keep becoming more and more expensive and probably a lot more unhealthy too as time goes on. But you're going to get ahead of inflation just by buying it now rather than later. So buy your food in bulk and put it in Mylar bags and store it away. And so I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. And also, if you're interested in any of the gear that you saw in today's video, I can honestly say I'm very familiar with everything that's behind me right here. I'm utilized all of it, and so I'm very confident in recommending all of this stuff. So if you're interested in any of it, I'll make sure to leave links in the description. So with that said, until the next time, stay prepared.